Wits University's Tshimologong Digital Innovation precinct has launched a gaming incubation, which is hoping to give mainly women inventors an opportunity to upscale their creativity on a larger platform. South Africa is noting a rise in startups within this industry, interestingly enough. The video gaming incubation targets creators and developers who have existing ideas as well as those with new work. Let's get a sense of how this actually pans out. To speak to one of the beneficiaries, Avuzwa Ntshongwana, who's actually from South Game Studio. It's a video animation company run by women, I'm told. Avuzwa, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for making time. Let's perhaps contextualize what Wits University is doing with this particular initiative and where you are involved. Because typically, stereotypically, I should say, gaming is mostly associated with men and boys, but obviously this is to try and change that.
Thank you for having me, Ayanda. Man, Tshimologong is doing such an amazing job. Yeah, it is a male-dominated industry, hey? We're also still trying to find our feet, but what they've done for us is they've opened up a world where we don't have to be scared or we don't have to, doubt ourselves that we actually want to be in gaming, and also just change the narrative that, as you said, gaming is typically for boys. You actually find a lot of women, especially in the animation studio as well, there's a lot of women, because that's the creative side, you get to draw and all of those things, and we're finding a lot of women, and it's really nice to be a girl or woman in game development, because I also get to showcase my skills, and Tshimologong has opened that floor up to us.
Yeah, and there's multiple facets to gaming, right? Most of us want to be involved in the playing of the game at the very end. But as you've mentioned, there are artists who are involved. I imagine there are programmers as well who have to collaborate with those artists. What kind of opportunities exist in an industry that we're told is actually growing not only in this country, but also on the continent?
Oh man, there is a lot. When I also thought about gaming, I just thought you just get there, take a cartoon online, and then you just code it, because I'm a programmer, right? And I was like, oh, you just animate it and then it does its thing. But there's a whole lot of opportunities. I mean, if your child is into drawing, there's a creative side, they can go into animation and storytelling as well, because we have to come up with stories so that we create another world which is fascinating and is beautiful. But yet again, in the storytelling, you get to tell almost everything, so there's also storytelling, there's programming, there's also the video part of it, there's people that need to do the video editing, making sure that your game comes out as beautiful and, kind of in syncing in the sounds, the sound engineering as well. So it's so broad, and there's so much more job opportunities in gaming. Yeah,
the opportunities are there, but sometimes accessing them, especially for black startups, we're told, is quite difficult. Help us better place some of those challenges. I mean, typically, what makes it hard for black startups to break through, as it were?
I think, Ayanda, it's firstly the confidence. I'll speak on my behalf and my personal, being a programmer, for me, it was very hard for me to break into the programming world because I lacked confidence in that, who am I to be a programmer, to be black and be a programmer, so it's mostly confidence, but I also think there isn't a lot of spaces that actually acknowledge, such industries, or typically just, being black or being in a startup and starting something. It's very hard for people to take you seriously. But I think what Tshimologong has done is they've opened up a space where there are tools, regardless of whether you are in animation or a programmer. There's tools, and you get there and you ask for help, and you will definitely get help. So, Tshimologong is actually solving one of the biggest things where you don't know where to knock. Now you know where to knock. Now we know where to knock, and it's just beautiful.
It's lovely that there's this kind of space where that can happen. So that's just, I guess, creating opportunities within this country, but there's a whole globalized network around gaming, and the fear is that South Africa hasn't really been able to tap into that space just yet. Is that an accurate reading of the situation?
It is. It's really accurate because, again, in my reference, we did, we won a hackathon last year with Telkom, and that was one of the reasons, one of the questions we were asked to solve. Because South Africa, the truth of the matter is most gamings are online, and we don't have internet. I mean, not that we don't have it, but the data is expensive. And, I mean, who's going to waste data on playing games again, right? So the market is different. We need to find find a way to penetrate the market differently according to the problems that we have in South Africa, right? So maybe creating 2D games that don't require internet as much, having more hackathons around Ekasi and all the other communities, just to make it aware and penetrate differently. Because if we're going to penetrate it how the world is penetrating video games, then we're not going to get very far.
Yeah, I'm sure there are parents who are watching our discussion who will never allow their children anywhere near gaming as a career. It's hard for people to wrap their heads around playing games being you at work. In fact, you play games as a moment of rest. So you're in the industry, and you've obviously taken it much more seriously than those of us who just relax on our couches to play games. What do you reckon those people need to know about where this industry is and just how much it can still do?
In South Africa, I'd like to say it's at the peaking phase. I think, even with my parents, I don't think they've grasped that I go to work and create games. But I think with time, it's something that with time you get to see that actually there's something real there. I was saying not the other day that we need to be more open in the things that our kids can do and, they love. So the gaming industry as well, it's something that we slowly introduce to parents, showing them that there's something serious there. Because we are getting to create, in our game, it's much more a bit educational because we're getting to create African stories through our games, So even with parents, so that parents can see that gaming is not all just for fun. Your kids can actually learn from playing games all day, So yeah. I think it's structuring your games in that manner that parents also get to see, actually there is something in there.
Yeah, well, it's great to see the work that you're doing, especially because of the opportunities that comes with it. Avuzwa, thanks very much indeed for speaking to us. Really do appreciate your time. Avuzwa Ntshongwana is a game developer with South Game Studio. Once again, thanks very much indeed.